Hey everybody, we're going to talk a little bit about Prolon today. I think I know most of you in the group. If I don't, I'm Derek. Hi, Dr. Lawrence. Nice to meet you. And we're going to hit on, today some of the reasons why we're doing this. And what we can expect. And I want to share with you my experience and some tips and tricks on how to be successful at it. So we're starting on the 18th, right? It's the 13th today. I did this on purpose. I didn't want you to have to Prolon fast during Thanksgiving if you have a loved one or that you're going to go do something fun with today. I didn't want to interrupt that. So open your box, okay? I want you to kind of get to know what's going to happen, what's going to be in front of you. When you open the box, you'll notice you have 5 of these. It's day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then a water bottle. Okay, we're going to go through a couple of days just so that you have an understanding of maybe how to manage all that, and then I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that I found helpful at making this as smooth as possible. First off, also read some of the literature that's in the box too. You'll find here's the ingredient list for everything that's in there, just so you know if you're an ingredient reader, which I encourage you to be. Everything in the Prolon box, gluten-free, plant-based, so there'll be no problems on that front. Also, they have a nice little meal program card here, okay? And this lays out breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks kind of stuff for day 1 through 5, and they even put day 6 there, and we'll talk about day 6 a little bit later as far as the transition diet goes. And you can follow this. If you're a structured type of person, you want to know that approach, or you want to know what you're looking forward to during the day. I know that for some of my patients, that's been an important strategy for them, knowing what's coming, so they had something to look forward to. I'll share with you some of my other tips as well. And then if you go on to prolonfmd.com/tips, TIPS. They'll have some more tips on that for you as well. So yeah, like I said, they have breakfast, lunch, dinner. One thing you'll notice there is supplements in these boxes, right? There's a little bag that has algae oil, omega-3s. Okay, there's a one that they call NR1. It's a plant-based nutrient as well. So I'll encourage you to take those. And then during it, stop any other supplements that you are taking. Continue to take your medications as prescribed by your doctor, whether there's thyroid hormone or otherwise. But be cognizant of just how you feel on those things. Obviously, if there's any blood sugar medications happening, Prolon's not a good fit unless you're working with a doc or you're working with me. On the back of this page, you'll also, or on this little card, you'll see how to use the L drink, as they call it, and you'll see the L drink is in day 2 through 5. It's this guy right here, okay? And on the side here, you'll see there's a little graduation, and basically you pour however much you weigh into the water bottle that they provide there. Fill it up with water. Don't drink this stuff straight, and don't use it all. It's not designed to use it all. It's supposed to be a metered amount of calories depending on the weight that you're at, okay? And you can also flavor that with the tea bags. I did that a few times, enjoyed it. It tastes a little bit nicer than just on its own. It's not terrible, but it's kind of Gatorade-y tasting, and that's not really my jam, but if you don't mind, it's all right. So, back to why we're doing this, okay? One of the reasons why I've really been able to kind of wrap my head around Prolon and what it does is, one of the only things that's been shown over and over and over again to be successful at increasing longevity of our lives, right? The longevity and the health span that we exist on this planet has been caloric restriction, and it's been shown to do that. This is a way in which we can kind of access that same beneficial strategy, but within the kind of crazy world that we live in. It's easy. It's relatively quick. 5 days, most folks can hang for 5 days on that front. And of course, it's tasty, it's convenient, and it works. Okay. One of the other side benefits you'll probably get from this is a recalibration of how much you need to eat. I personally found, afterwards, my portion size has dropped relatively significantly, because you just realize, oh, like, I'm full. I don't need this amount, right? And so there's a psychological component to it as well as behind the scenes. There's some hormones that are becoming a little bit more sensitive in your body behind that. And that's really one of the major reasons why I've suggested a lot of folks do this, is to become a little bit more hormone sensitive. That's particularly insulin, but there are other hormones like growth hormone playing a role, and some of the satiety hormones as well, that are likely being influenced. Those weren't measured in the studies in particular, but some of the literature shows that fasting affects that as well. So our Prolon 5-day fast, we are doing this for longevity. We're doing this for our physiology, to actually start to recycle our garbage cells, to start to produce more stem cells, to heal. Okay. There's some other side benefits of, yes, it does include weight regulation. You will likely lose some weight, and it will likely stay after the program, even after you go back into your regular diet. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that too as we go along through the week, on how do we transition out of this appropriately. But you will find that you will certainly lose some weight. And so it has been a kickstart for some of my patients in their I call it a sprint in the marathon, right? Anyone who's working with me is, we are working on the long haul, right? Anyone who's working with me, they know that I want to improve their health for the rest of their life. It's a marathon, but here's a sprint, okay? And it's going to provide kind of some re-efficiency of some of the cells. So let's talk about some of the tips and tricks that I've had. We talked about this meal program card here. And if this works for you, do it, okay? One of the other strategies that I want to share with you, and this was just a personal one, is I don't love going to bed hungry. I don't eat too late at night, but I also don't love going to bed hungry, okay? I can handle that throughout the day. Much easier. I can handle hunger throughout the day much easier. So one of the things that I based my day around was making sure that I had more of my food left later in the day, so I didn't have to go into bed feeling a little grumbling in my stomach. Okay. Another component to that was you will likely fall asleep easier. Or easier and sooner. You'll just want to go to bed sooner. There's less energy around. And quite honestly, the sooner you go to bed, the less you have to think about eating. And then you can wake up the next morning and start all over again. And so what I found successful was actually waiting to eat a little bit more of it during the afternoon, so I didn't have to go to bed hungry. You may not feel like that, but I wanted to share with you that particular strategy. Another thing that I also enjoy is having something a little bit sweet in the evening, sweet and savory. And so that's where that nut bar really came into place. So you'll find in a lot of the days there is the L bar. Okay, this guy right here. It's really good. It's tasty. Eat this slow, savor it, enjoy it. And I've always left a little bit of it, maybe an inch or so, to have as a dessert after I finished my fuel for the day, after I finished my food for the day. Ended on something fatty, a little bit sweet, and I felt satisfied going to bed at the end of the day. So you'll see the program card has you like eating this first thing in the morning. I might suggest eat little bits of it. And save some for the end of the day, because it is nice to go to bed with something sweet. On the other, another thing you may want to pay attention to, especially when we get into the L drink, and that's day 2 through 5, is this is something that I would recommend you drink slowly throughout the day. Okay, have it there for when you get those moments of, ooh, I'm a little hungry, right? Or I need a little bit of a bump. that's what it's there for. You can take a little bit of a squirt of the drink, and it bumps your blood sugar back up and will allow you to keep going. If you're finding that's happening routinely, I might suggest you go have an olive or two or one of the snacks that are in there. But the drink works quickly. Okay, and so when we find we might be sliding into one of those troughs, have a couple squirts of the L drink, and but try to keep in mind you want to make that last throughout the day, just so that you have some if you need some. And I did speak with a few patients who kept that a little bit left even as they were going to bed, so that if they woke up or anything like that in the night, they were able to have a squirt of that too. So that's another trick that that I found successful on that front as well. Some of you may be doing some time restricted eating, and I know Colin is, and you might be here, Colin. Hi. And I was doing it as well. One thing I will make sure that you pay attention to is don't be dogmatic about that. Okay. You may find you may need to eat a little bit earlier in the day, or you may want to kick it all together for the time being, but don't be dogmatic about it, because you can drop your blood sugar a little bit too low, and it doesn't feel fantastic. If you look, Kelly, who's an admin in the group, she uploaded some of the videos that I did for my first Prolon, and I believe it was day 3. I hit one of those days where granted I screwed up, and I'll share with you where and how I screwed up, but I hit one of those days where my blood sugar dropped a little bit too much, and it did not feel good. So, and part of the reason was I had a cup of coffee that morning. Was a bad idea. So for everybody, I would encourage you to not have coffee. I think you'll have far more success if you do not have any coffee. Suffer through the headache that will come with it. Maybe quit it a day or two before you're going to start the Prolon. So all of this isn't happening all at once, but I would recommend you don't have any coffee. We also got a message on Instagram regarding exercise. Okay, another thing that I would recommend: stay out. Okay, obviously, you know, our day-to-day walking here and there, lifting groceries, etc., that's fine. But any intense exercise, I would encourage you to just put on the shelf. It's 5 days. You'll probably feel back to wanting to do it day 6, 7 for sure. But during it, there's not a lot of extra energy around. Okay, and to push yourself in those states it's actually going to be counterproductive for what we're trying to do for this purpose, right? It's going to put us in a real energy deficit state, and that's going to drive hunger. It's also going to drive extra cortisol production, and that's not what we're going for, right? We want some, but we don't want too much. We're trying to go for balance and recalibration here. So consider an opportunity to take a week off, rest, repair. That's the other benefit that's going to come with this, is that when our stem cell production starts bumping up day, 3, 4, 5, we're going to have a real opportunity to start to repair. So if we got any nagging injuries or anything like that, it's a great time to do it. And I have had some people say, well, my pain levels are dropping, which I think is pretty wild. And if you experience that, like, let us know. We want to know everybody's kind of experience on that front. For at home, if you want to monitor some metrics, all right, meaning like how effective has this been for me? Measure your weight. Okay, easy. Measure your waist circumference. Okay, waist around your belly button. Okay, above the pelvic bones, and measure your hip circumference as well. Hips are the outsides of the thighs. You can go online and find like a proper waist hip measurement kind of graphic, and we'll try to find one and put it up there so you can find out where to measure. These are places where commonly folks will lose inches from. Okay, if you have like a body composition scale at home measuring your body fat percentage, lean body mass, you'll likely note your body fat percentage is going to go down, your lean body mass is going to stay or potentially even go up, right? Which is wild. We're actually getting more lean body mass while we are reducing our calorie consumption. And if you can measure your blood pressure, that's another fantastic one as well. Yes, there are labs that we can look at, cholesterol, CRP, which is an inflammatory marker. They looked at insulin-like growth factor in the studies as well, and noticed, drops in all these things as well. I don't think we necessarily need to look at labs. You can if you want. If you want to get in, just let me know. We can probably get you to the lab before this happens. If not, it's all good. We're not really necessarily going for those. I want people to get this experience of how this actually feels and how it changes them from a feeling and subjective standpoint. But if you're looking to measure some metrics, your body weight, your body fat percentage, if you have the ability to measure that at home, abdominal, waist and hip circumference. Okay, you can even do your arms if you want to. You might lose some there. And blood pressure. Those will all be relevant to monitor as well. And let's see, is there any other tips for you guys, at least right now? I think what I would also suggest is there was a great post by one of our participants in the group, Jody. She's done Prolon before. She's going to be doing another one by the sounds of it. And she wrote out a whole kind of list of her experience of like, this worked, this didn't. I would suggest you read it. It was a really great kind of patient experience. Some people fast really well. Some people don't fast really well. And we're here to support that. And what is usually the most challenging part for a lot of people is the psychology, okay, of not eating. Like, we're so accustomed to just eating all the time or consistently. We have a lot of emotion around food, and this is something that is going to change that. Right. So start to kind of check in with that as well. And that may be the more challenging component of this. Remember, you will survive this, right? We have survivors in the group, right? It's doable, and it's not even that hard for some people. Right. But for others, it really can be. But you will survive. The physiology will keep you going. The mental component is going to be probably more challenging for a lot of folks. Okay. And ask for some help. If you're having some struggles during day one, having some anxieties, ask. Like, we got a great little group that can cheer you on. And then secondly, we can do this. You will survive, and use the L drink to kind of bring our blood sugar up when those kind of moments of hunger come. That will be really helpful for you. So I'm going to sum up all those major points that I hit on so you can go back and read it. I don't want to keep this much longer than 15 minutes. You guys know I tend to get a little lengthy with how I talk. So I'm going to sum up the major points, and then you can read about them later. If there's any questions from any of you in the group, please write them. We'll get to the answers. If there's enough, I might make another video making sure that we can answer all of them. And I look forward to touching base with you guys again soon, and proloning very soon, a few more days. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll be in touch.